Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fishin, the podcast where we discuss historically the most competitive tribe and help the whole community become better Merfolk players. I'm Cody, one of the co-hosts of the show, and not Cody Smith on Twitter. And we have, as always, my co-host Matt. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great. You know what? We were kind of talking about this offline, but I'm actually curious what the world thinks. Is Merfolk the most competitive tribe historically? They got to be close.
Yeah, and we kind of narrowed it down to it would either be goblins, elves, or merfolk because they're kind of the ones that have just been in the zeitgeist for the longest.
But they're also all three tribes that legit have legacy decks attached to them. They come and go in the standard formats, and all three of them are currently in modern, again, to certain levels of success.
Yeah, but Merfolk has as we're going to discuss in this episode, has had a very long tenure as a competitive deck.
Well, as our brothers at Yo Gobbo Gobbo would say, you know what? Goblin's got something banned out of Legacy because it was too good. So,
well, in goblins.
Hashtag Yo Gobbo Gobbo.
Hashtag Yo Gobbo Gobbo. Remember that you can. Find us on twitch.tv/fishcastmtg. You can subscribe to us basically everywhere you find your podcast, and make sure to tell
some places
friend.
Where you can't find your podcasts.
That's very rare.
Like secret podcasts.
Yeah, secret podcasts.
And the places I keep uploading our videos that Cody doesn't know about.
Are you uploading our videos to like Vimeo or something, or Venmo or something like that?
Hashtag Fishcast Scavenger Hunt.
And we also like to thank everybody who uses the Inked Gaming coupon code FishCast10 to get 10% off your order and give us some money back. It's very cool that you do that, as well as our Patreon subscribers, which we have a new patron.
We do, and me and this patron, Cody will introduce here in a second, actually talked a lot over the weekend, and he's super cool. So. Yeah. I'm excited.
Well, I will say that all of our patrons are super cool.
I completely agree.
So it's not that only this patron is super cool. If you are our patron, then you are super cool.
I completely agree. I just wish more of our patrons would talk to me. I feel like what's the word? I don't know. Not outcast.
Just ignored.
Pariah?
Ignored. Yeah, I don't know. But our new patron is Handsome Dan.
I feel like Frankenstein.
Handsome Dan, our new patron.
Hey, Handsome Dan, not treat me like Frankenstein.
Yeah, and of course, as is the custom of our people. By the way, I would
clap louder for Dan, but my kid's going to sleep, so that's what we have tonight.
And so, as is the custom of our people, with our new patron, we get a new random Merfolk, and this one is actually pretty cool. I like it, but it is not great. Like most Merfolk. I'll go ahead and read this one because I haven't read one of these in a while.
Are you even allowed to read these?
You know what? I might not be. That might be something I'm not allowed to do.
I mean, this is kind of my thing. I mean, I'll let you do it because I love you.
But... No, you go right ahead, sir.
No, I insist.
No,
you take
insist.
This one.
All right, so
why don't we do it together? That wouldn't be awkward at all.
No, this is Blockade Runner. It's from Mercadian Masks. It is 3 in a blue for a 2/2 Merfolk, and it has blue. Blockade Runner is unblockable this turn. With the flavor text, "I need to get back to Mercadia City," said Sisse. "We can get you there," the Vizier answered, "easily."
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, the artwork is really neat. It's that old realistic style, like oil painting type artwork that you're not going to see very much these days. I mean, I dig it. And you know what? I don't know because I really wasn't playing competitive Magic during the Mercadian Masks. I think. God, I was like in 5th grade or 6th grade when Mercadian Mask came out, and I think I had taken a break from Magic at the time because I just discovered girls. So
that's a force to be reckoned with.
It was. I mean, adolescent Matt was a little distracted. I mean, we came back to it.
Yeah.
But so I don't remember if this was like good or not. I mean, the power level was just so much different back then. I mean, this could have been a legit card. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, now it's not.
Yeah, this is definitely not something that you'd be playing today, unless you're playing like a Mercadian Masks themed commander deck, or yeah, it's just not super exciting, unfortunately.
I mean, you couldn't even jam this in Pomper anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could.
And I said you couldn't. I mean, there's better options at
Well,
unblockable.
physically, you could. I'm not saying that it's the correct answer.
So the only way you play this is in your Pomper Commander Merfolk Tribal deck.
Yeah, where you pick everything from 7th edition and back.
Yes.
But okay, so Blockade Runner, not super great, but thank you again to Handsome Dan for becoming a patron. It really does mean a lot to us. It's super cool.
Completely agree. And thank you very much to all of our other super awesome patrons.
Yes, all of you awesome people. So what are we talking about today, Matt?
You know I don't pay attention.
Well,
I'm assuming Magic the Gathering,
yeah,
maybe with a subtext of Merfolk.
Something Merfolk related.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about competitive finishes with Merfolk. Like so this is like pro level GPs, Magic Fest now, Pro Tours, that sort of thing. And there actually this weekend was a really good run by a Merfolk player at GP Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, very fortuitous that we're having this topic today. It's something that we did not, or we had planned previous to, I guess we'll say his name, Kyle Larson, doing very, very well at Dallas. Again, unfortunately, both Cody and I could not make Dallas. That was one of the ones that we had on the list this year. Next year, fingers crossed.
Yeah, we definitely want to get some more events, but and we were definitely planning on going, but just life happened, and but yeah. Kyle Larson got 16th place with Mono Blue Merfolk, so good on him, Kyle. You're awesome.
Yeah, and just because we're a Merfolk podcast, we're not going to talk about his deck, but I will say if I'm playing Merfolk right now, like 1-for-1, I think his deck is like super sweet and probably how it should be played right now.
Yeah, and he runs a play set of the Horizon Lands, which I tried to find.
No, he doesn't. He runs one.
Just one?
Yeah, he only runs one of the Simic ones.
Oh, I thought he played the full play set.
No, just one.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, anyway, yeah, like I think they're correct to run.
Reading's hard.
Yeah, reading is hard. But you have the list pulled up and I don't, so I blame me not reading.
Wait a second. Am I prepared and you're not?
So anyway, we're gonna take the Wayback Machine and we're gonna look at the first couple appearances of Merfolk in competitive Magic. So the first time that Merfolk did well in any pro level event was
that Cody could find.
That I could, yes. This is based off of my research. So if I'm wrong, please tell me. Somebody make sure to point this out to me if I am incorrect. The first.
Let's be honest, no one's going to go this far back.
No, but so the first appearance was Pro Tour Rome in 1998, and this.
You want to say how old you were in '98?
98. I was 9.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So, and this was a extended Pro Tour. So, Matt, what is extended for people who don't know?
Extended was essentially what Modern was before there was a Modern. So it was a rotating format, but it rotated very, very slowly. So it was just, it was just weird.
It was something like the last 4 blocks, right?
Yeah, something along those lines. I don't have it in front of me. It got to the point. It's kind of like Prismatic and like a few of the other weird ones you'll see on like the Wizard sites that are like official formats. It was an official format that just essentially eventually not many people played it. Yeah. Because again, people like their Eternal formats, but they don't like rotating. Like with Eternal formats.
It's a rotating pseudo Eternal format.
Yeah. Where eventually the really expensive cards you have to play it are going to rotate out.
And that's why people like Modern or Legacy, because you can kind of just keep your deck.
Yeah, exactly.
But so this was Mono Blue Fish for a second place finish by Nicholas Labar. And we'll have all these deck lists in the show notes so you can follow along. But this is an interesting list. I mean, obviously we have our Lord of Atlantis, but we also have some kind of interesting Merfolk.
I mean, Lord of Atlantis is really the only card that, I mean, besides basic island, that is still in the traditional modern deck that we see right now.
Yeah, and obviously, I think that this list is kind of closer to what Legacy looks like, Legacy Merfolk, because
No.
obviously this is playing the 4 Force of Will, 4 Spike, Counterspell, and really there's only 3 Merfolk in this deck, and it's Lord of Atlantis, Manta Riders, which is blue for a 1/1 and you can pay a blue to give it flying, and Merfolk Traders, which is 1 in a blue. When it enters, you loot.
Yeah.
But there's some interesting cards in here. I mean, obviously, Man of War is a very classic Magic card.
I love Man of War.
Water Spout Djinn is just an interesting
Yeah,
card from
let's just
Visions.
say what that is, because I actually had to look that one up too. It's a 2 blue and 2, so 4 CMC for a 4/4. It's from Visions. It has flying, and during your upkeep, return an untapped island you control to your owner's hand, or bury Water Spout Djinn. A 4/4 flying for 4 back in the day was actually really good and really powerful. So
Yeah, 4/4 flyer for 4 is
returning an island
is
to your hand is whatever.
yeah. But by the time I mean, this is the top of the curve. It looks like. So
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to hard cast a Force of Will, but you're not doing that very often. Let's be honest. Yeah. So 4 is the
You got 3 Never Nero's discs in there.
Well, yeah, but that's still 4. You know,
You're right.
Top of the
Four,
curve, top of the curve, except for Force of Will is 4. So I mean, even like the quote unquote downside of having to go to 3 lands every turn when you can just replay that island and play out a Man of War to bounce something, or play a Manta Riders or whatever. This deck is very interesting.
Yeah.
Also has some really cool stuff like Hydroblast and Serrated Arrows in the sideboard. Yeah, Serrated Arrows is a cool and one of my favorite cards in the sideboard is Bottle Gnomes.
Original art by Phil Foglio. Fans of the show know my favorite old school artist. Yeah, I mean, super sweet. One thing I actually find really cool, I don't know if you noticed it, was it's actually kind of playing a strategy very similar to the current standard version of Merfolk with the Curiosities. So it plays 2 Curiosities, which is an enchantment. Whenever a creature deals combat damage, you may draw a card, which is very similar to what we're doing with Curious Obsession right now.
Yeah, the mono blue tempo decks and standard. Yeah.
So I mean, essentially, we're doing the same thing here. We have a bunch of evasive creatures. We have and trying to draw cards. I don't really understand the Never Nero's discs. I guess just in case emergency, break glass, just reset the board.
Yeah.
I do love that it does have 4 wastelands in it, though.
I think that maybe it is. So the first place list was
we got to talk about this.
Was an Academy Ruins deck.
Can I mention this deck list, because this is insane. This is absolutely insane. Like, this is better than like vintage decks right now. It's 4 City Ancient Tombs, 3 City of Brass, 4 Tolarian Academies, 4 Tundras, 4 Volcanic Islands, 3 Abeyance, 3 Intuitions, 3 Power Sinks, 4 Stroke of Genius, 4 Time Spiral, 4 Windfall, 4 Lotus Petal, 4 Mana Volts, 4 Mox Diamonds, 3 Mind Over Matters, 2 Scroll Racks, and 3 Voltaic Keys. Just as Richard Garfield intended.
This deck on TCG Player, we used MTG Top 8 to pull up these deck lists.
Yeah.
The TCG Player price for this deck is $11,596. What is this?
Seems right.
That is crazy. It has four Wasteland in the sideboard too, and some Gorilla Shamans and an Arcane Denial and Chills. Red spells cost 2 more to play. What?
How is this deck ever legal?
I don't know, but it basically plays a bunch of artifacts. I mean, Tolarian Academy is a very busted Magic card.
So I've never played against Tolarian Academy in like a tournament setting, but back in the early days of Commander, I had a buddy who was playing it before there was like a ban list. And it was like the most broken thing in the world. Like, it was a 3-on-1 anytime he played his Tolarian Academy, because just trying to figure out a way to blow the damn thing up and keep it dead.
So how does this deck win?
I think it mills you out. Mills your opponent out.
How do you mill with this deck though? There's mana vaults.
Stroke of Genius.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, target player draws X cards. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you time spiral and windfall and all that kind of stuff.
And once you have multiple Tolarian Academy, well, I guess you can't.
You can only have one.
Yeah, but so you play Tolarian Academy. You have these Mox Diamond, Scroll Rack, Voltaic Key. So you tap for maybe 4 or 5 mana, and then you play another Tolarian Academy and tap it for another 4 or 5 mana. You this is just crazy.
Yeah.
Woo! And Windfall, yeah. So yeah, it just mills your opponent. There's a couple High Tide lists, blue-red aggro decks, and there's actually 2 Academy lists in here, so very similar.
All the broken stuff you love to see.
So this is like I said, this was from 1998. So this is very early in Magic's history, let alone Merfolk's history. So
yeah.
Nicholas Labar, second place. That's pretty cool. Do you have anything else to say, or do you want to move on to the next one?
I always wish I was playing Extended during this time because I want to play this deck so badly.
The Academy deck.
Yeah. I need to find a situation where I can build this and just show up and somebody will let me play against them.
Just proxy it up real quick. It'll be cool. So the next one, there's actually 2 Merfolk decks in this next event.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Worlds 2001 in Toronto, Canada, and it was standard. But the second and third place, Alex Borte and Andrea Santin, both had very similar Merfolk opposition lists.
Mm-hmm.
So the main part of this deck is opposition, which is cost 2 blue, tap an untapped creature you control, tap target artifact, creature, or land. Opposition is a very interesting card. And this actually plays a few. This is a kind of a controlling Merfolk deck with Waterfront Bouncer.
Well, I mean, you missed the biggest thing. It plays 4 static orbs as well.
Static Orb, yeah. It plays Rootwater Thief, which you can search your library, your opponent's library for a card, exile it. So you're taking pieces away from your opponent's deck, their key parts. But this also just has Lord of Atlantis and Merfolk Looter, and Counterspell, just good Magic cards.
Yeah. Again, I mean, tap your opponent down and make sure they can't untap. I mean, if they were playing, if Winter Orb was legal, I'm sure they'd be playing that in here as well. And then, just go to town with and dink them to death with uncounterable or with unblockable creatures.
Yeah, and this this was standard at the time. So this plays some Gushes, Foil, Counterspell,
Rishadan Port.
It's a very, what is this card? Replues? 2 and a blue, return target creature to its owner's hand, draw a card. It's just Boomerang. An expensive Boomerang. And a Temporal Adept, which is 1 blue for a human wizard, 1/1 that has blue, tap, return target permanent to its owner's hand. That's pretty neat.
And Thieving Magpie.
Friend of the show, Nikachu's favorite Magic card.
No kidding.
Yeah, and both of these lists are very similar. Playing some darting Merfolk. But the biggest thing is playing the oppositions and basically just keeping your opponent from being able to do things.
Yeah, opposition static orb. I mean, it's a cool combo. I mean, if these cards were legal nowadays, it would still be played. To be completely honest.
Yeah,
if these cards were legal in Modern, they'd be played right now. In this fashion.
And there's a few other interesting. So like the first place deck is called Machine Head. It
Bush was very big at the time.
Yeah, Plague Spitter, Crypt Angel, Flame Tongue Kavu. It looks like just a red black control deck that plays lots of removal. And then this is just it's a very interesting standard. It looks like
it's so funny to think that Dark Ritual was just like an evergreen card for so long.
Yeah,
it's like, we need to have Land of War Wells, Stone Rain, and Dark Ritual in every set.
Yeah, well, and even Counterspell, like as we're seeing in all of these Merfolk decks, they all have Counterspell.
I mean, they were around for a long time.
which is nuts. Counterspell is such a good card.
Yeah.
Just
I think Dark Ritual might be a little bit better though.
Oh no, I think in a vacuum, power level wise, yeah. But still, just having counterspell is just crazy for standard. So we're gonna go to the next one here, the third appearance of so our first one was in 1998 with Pro Tour Rome. Their second appearance was Worlds 2001 in Toronto, Canada. The third appearance, there's a long drought of Merfolk decks. And it's Pro Tour Hollywood, California in 2008.
If anybody's listened to the show from early on, you might know that there was a lull in Merfolk being printed for a long time.
Yes.
During this period. And about the time in 2008 is when Merfolk started getting printed again.
Yes, that is correct. And that's what I wanted to bring up was you're obviously not going to be seeing a lot of Merfolk decks if Merfolk decks aren't being printed. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get a standard Merfolk deck with Jan Ruse getting second place, and this actually is kind of where we're starting to see like what modern Merfolk is, because this has 4 Curse Catcher, 4 Lord of Atlantis, 4 Mirror Regery, 4 Silvergill Adept, aka Best Fish. We also see Stony Brook Banneret, which reduces the cost of all Merfolk and Wizards. There's Sig River Guide, Tide Shaper Mystic, and even Venser, which sees play in a lot of sideboards for modern Merfolk right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is when I kind of came back to Magic when I was back in college during the Time Spiral Lorwyn blocks. And, I mean, this was just such a fun time to be playing Magic, especially Standard. And, you notice it's Serrated Arrows is there? It was a time-shifted card in Time Spiral.
There's awesome. Serrated Arrows. It's a removal spell.
Serrated Arrows is, like, legit, like, one of the few really good cards from Homelands.
Yeah, it actually was okay.
It's like Serrated Arrows and Merchant Scroll.
Yeah, but this deck also plays 2 Ancestral Vision and 3 Cryptic Command in the main and 1 in the side, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But this also played some white cards. So we have Sig River Guide, we have 4 of Wanderwine Hub, Mutavault, Fairy Conclave, Adakar Wastes, and I like that there's also Sunlance in this, which is a Future Sight card, right? Or not Future Sight, Planar Chaos.
It was.
It's a white lightning bolt.
Where they were, yeah. No, it's not a lightning bolt because you can't target players with it, right?
It deals 3 damage to target non-white creature. It's similar but not quite.
I mean, they broke the color pie, but they didn't like destroy it with this card.
Yeah, no. This is. I mean, white does have the ability to deal some damage. Like take vengeance and that sort of thing. But this is just having an extra removal spell, and there's even Burian Forge Tender. Remember we discussed this when we talked about.
I think this is something that if you're going to play Azorius Merfolk, you have to play.
Yeah, and so it just kind of helps against the red matchups.
Yeah.
But we have lots of tribal decks in this. Obviously, this is around Lorwyn, so we have a couple Elves decks. There's a Fairies deck, some Revelark decks, and then this is also when Snowlands were a thing. And you see like Mouth of Ronom, which I use in my mono green fog deck. Chameleon Colossus. Just interesting cards.
Yeah, something you don't see on here either, but was legal during this time was Umizawa's Jit or Jite or however the hell you want to pronounce it. But yeah, I mean, this was a crazy time for Magic. I mean, think of that, the power level of having Lorwyn and Future Sight and Time Spiral and I guess it had cycled at that point, but Kamigawa in the same standard. It was insane. Oh, and then you had 10th edition for Magic was the one with the actual X, not Magic 10, but 10th edition was the core set during the time, which had like just other insane cards in there. So much fun.
Yeah, and again, this is where Merfolk kind of really came back. So you're gonna start seeing Merfolk decks, which we saw another Grand Prix later that year, Grand Prix Copenhagen. There was actually two Merfolk decks there as well. So we have a blue-white Merfolk list that got third place with Jacob Joda. And the sixth place, William Cavalieri. I think that's how you say that. If you're William Cavalieri, let us know how do you say your name. But again,
one thing I want to say though, you kind of brushed over it without mentioning it. But what was the deck that came in first?
Mono Red, David Larson.
No, at Pro Tour Hollywood 2008.
Oh, Pro Tour Hollywood. Let me pull that one back up. That was Elves.
There, we're going back to where we started the conversation historically.
Yeah, and yeah, so there's Elves decks, there's a Fairy deck. It's a very tribal time to be alive.
Oh, of course, and Green Black Elves was really strong during that time period.
Yeah, so for Grand Prix Copenhagen, like I said, there's two Merfolk decks, and again, very similar list: Mirror Regery, Lord of Atlantis, Curse Catcher, Cryptic Command, Silvergill Adept, Venser, Stony Brook Banneret. These are very similar to each other, and a lot of like the blue-white deck has Burian Forge Tender, Sig River Guide, Sunlance, and then the other deck looks like it was. Oh, this is an interesting list. It actually has Tarmogoyf in it. It has 3 Chameleon Colossus, 4 Lord of Atlantis, Mirror Regery, Silvergill Adept, but then it just has 4 Tarmogoyf and 2 Wake Thrashers.
You know what? That's not very surprising because at the time, Goyf in Standard was just so good. I mean, you just had to play it, and you just you jammed it into everything.
Yeah. And Chameleon Colossus is just a giant Merfolk. So
and at the time, I mean, Chameleon Colossus's power level has gone down tremendously since. But at the time, it was a legit massive card. It was so good.
Yeah, and there's also Ponder in here, which is a very powerful Magic card. Yeah, I like this. There's even a Pendlehaven in this list, so that's cool. For the Silvergill or for the Stony Brook Bannerets. Treetop Village, lots of manlands, and even Reflecting Pool. That's pretty cool.
His power level was so insane.
Yeah, no, this is an interesting. It's an interesting time in Magic, but again, 2 lists in this Grand Prix, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
and Mono Red, piloted by David Larson, got first place, and there's even another Mono Red deck in second place. But there's Elves here. There's a Revelark combo deck, which I mean, Revelark is a very combo card. It does Revelark things, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Revelark likes to Revelark.
Yeah, and so those are both Merfolk like standard decks. But it does look very much like how modern Merfolk ended up being.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're kind of getting to the where you're seeing most of the same stuff.
Yeah, totally.
That we're gonna see today.
Yeah,
in both legacy and modern / Lorwyn standard / extended.
Yeah. So we fast forward a little bit to 2010 World's Legacy Saturday event.
So Matt has graduated from college, but because the economy was awful, he was unemployed.
And I was, let's see, in 2010 I was in Guam. I was at Naval Hospital Guam. No, I was coming back from Guam, so I was going to the Marine Corps for the first time. So that's fun. That's fun times. But
fun times.
Yeah. I'm gonna be very bad and not say this name because I cannot pronounce it. But second place finished for Merfolk, and
it is Kunia Subiashi.
Sure, let's do that. But this is a very
I got you, Kunia.
This is a very interesting legacy deck because this is a very this is a Merfolk deck that plays Standstill, which actually was how you played Legacy Merfolk for a while. And Standstill,
you played that before, right?
I have not.
I thought you did.
I would actually. I'll probably have to do that at some point. But Standstill is one
It's
in
only,
blue.
it's only 29 cents on Moto. So
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be breaking the bank. But Standstill is one in a blue for an enchantment. When a player plays a spell, sacrifice Standstill. If you do, each of that player's opponents draws 3 cards. So the way you play Standstill is you play a few creatures, and Mutavault works wonderful with Standstill, and then you just wait.
you wait for your opponent who has a control deck to actually have to do something, then you draw 3 cards.
Yep, and then this is a very Merfolk deck with Silvergill Adept, Mara Rageray, Lord of Atlantis, Curse Catcher, and Coralhelm Commander. It's Legacy, so of course we're playing Force of Will and Days.
Which you have to remember that Coralhelm Commander was actually a good card for a while.
And it still sees some modern play. I wouldn't put Coralhelm Commander in a Legacy deck. But...
Well, I mean, you're not even gonna see it really in a modern deck anymore. Never since they printed what's the other Lord's name? Not Lord of Atlantis.
Master of the Pearl Trident.
Yeah, Master.
But Coralhelm Commander does see play, like M. Hayashi plays it in slower decks. But Coralhelm Commander actually works really well with Standstill because you can level up your Coralhelm Commanders, and then and that doesn't count as you playing a spell. So you're just getting this. You're getting a 2/2, and then it's a 3/3 with flying, and then it's a 4/4 with flying, and it's a Lord on top of all that. So you can just sit there and go Coralhelm Commander, go. Turn 2 or turn 3 Standstill, or Aether Vial is also in this deck. Aether Vial is not a cast trigger, so you can put creatures into play without casting anything, and this is a very interesting list. I like it.
3 Jits in the sideboard.
Yeah. It's a powerful Magic card.
Again, that's another one. Like, I don't play Legacy Fish, so I don't know, but it just feels wrong they don't play like more Jits. I think it'd be such a good card for them. I mean, I'm sure there's reasons why they don't, and like Niiiiiiiiiice and Merfolk joke and yell at me and tell me how dumb I am for suggesting it. But man, it feels like it should be good.
It is played in some lists, and Umezawa's Jite is a very powerful Magic card. So
there's two people. Yeah. There's 2 types of people in the world: people who say Jit and the people who are wrong.
Yeah, well, it's still a good card no matter how you say it.
Just like it's a Pithing Needle.
And there's a few
Pithing Needle.
Have Mind, Show and Tell, Charbelcher, Goblin Charbelcher is here.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about Legacy is it hasn't changed in 10 years.
Yeah, and so these are really cool lists. There's a Team America deck, which is not red, white, and blue. There's a Kira, a Tarmogoyf, a Tombstalker, Vendilion Click.
Tombstalker was the only Delve card for the longest time. That's why it was so good. Tombstalker used to legit be like super expensive.
Oh, I bet. But now that there's like more reasonable Delve,
cards, So I'm looking at like current Legacy, and the only thing that's like different than what we're seeing right there is current Legacy had our Delver wasn't printed yet.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's essentially the same stuff.
And this would probably run Delver, I think. But yeah, so this is an interesting list. Again, Merfolk in second place for its first Legacy outing, so that's pretty cool. And then
there's no Stoneforge this time either.
Yeah, no, this is before Stoneforge.
Yeah.
And we also see again in Grand Prix Columbus 2010, and it's another Legacy event. We have a first place win.
We did it.
Yeah, with Tomoharu Saito. And this is we're starting to get fetch lands here. There's Flooded Strand, Misty Rainforest, Polluted Delta. Only 2 islands in this list. It's very interesting. And 4 Mutavaults, but there's Underground Seas. So that's a cool Magic card. Very, very normal stuff here. Coralhelm Commander, Curse Catcher, Lord of Atlantis, and a very similar deck. It has Standstill and Aether Vial.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like it splashes black for Engineered Plague. There's Nature's Ruin, which is 2 and a black, destroy all green creatures. And a Perish. So there's Nature's Ruin and Perish, destroy all green creatures, they can't be regenerated. and of Tormod's Crypt and Umezawa's GT.
I'm starting to notice a pattern here.
Yeah. So this is how, obviously this is before Master of the Pearl Trident. So we're not seeing the double lords, but this is kind of how Merfolk played Legacy, is Standstill, Aether Vial, Core Helm Commander. Yeah.
I think we need to learn from our past and bring Standstill back into Legacy Merfolk.
Let's do it. We'll definitely do it. There's some interesting cards. There's a Standstill, Life from the Loam. There's Blue Green Madness, Sneak and Show, 4-color Counterbalance, which Counterbalance is very similar to
Miracles.
I mean, what ended up becoming Miracles, but Counterbalance is
Miracles put it over the top, but
yeah. This is just a very
because top was legal at this time.
For Sensei's Divining Top.
Good old Fair Magic the Gathering right there.
yeah. Sensei's Divining Top, Fair Magic card. It's totally fine. Nothing wrong.
I'm legit just playing with a Sensei's Divining Top right now. I just realized that.
Oh yeah. We have our Sensei's Divining Tops from our buddy Kyle, who 3D printed them for us.
Yeah. Thanks, K-Love.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Our
moderator
on twitch.tv/fishcastmtg.
We love to hate you and hate to love you at the same time.
Yeah. But Grand Prix Columbus, first place win. We have another first place Legacy win at Gen Con Legacy Championship 2011. And this is very similar. Just this one doesn't play Standstill. It plays Mental Misstep, which is, again, a broken magic card. Force of Will,
Phyrexian Mana.
Yeah, Phyrexian Mana was not broken in any fashion. But it plays
Phyrexian Mana is like Storm. Eventually they're just all going to be banned. Except for Surgical Extraction, because it legit just makes things fair.
Yeah, and so this is everything's the same basically. There's just 2 Sower of Temptations. We're starting to see Back to Basics getting played in the.
It's got a Mishra's Factory in there.
Yeah, Mishra's Factory. Again, having the creature lands are just super good. And when you're using Mental Misstep and Force of Will and Daze to keep your opponent on the back foot, being able to activate these lands it's really powerful. Also, just 4 of Wasteland, Pithing Needle. There's a Cephalid in this deck.
Oh, I love that card. I absolutely love that card. It's so good at hosing blue decks.
Yeah, but you definitely don't want to be playing this out too much. You have to be playing against a.
By the way, you should probably tell the people what it is. It's Luan Cephalid Empress inside Luan Davis card.
And what does it do?
I don't know.
I
think it comes into play and it bounces all blue creatures. Yeah.
Yeah.
When it enters the battlefield, return all blue creatures to your opponent's control to the owner's hands. Your opponents can't cast blue creature spells.
Yep. And so this does bounce your own creatures, but
your opponents can't do it.
Yeah, your opponents can't recast their blue creatures. So you can recast things. You also have Aether Vial to kind of get caught back up. And yeah, I think the only card that I'm not stoked about with this is Coral Helm Commander, because you have to rebuild up with the level up mechanic. So that's a rough one.
I assume Coral Helm's getting boarded out though when that comes in.
Yeah, that's fair. Tormod's Crypt, Relic of Progenitus, the regular. So what else we have here is there's Landstill, which is a Standstill deck. There's a Zoo deck, Rug, Reanimator, Dredge. We're starting to actually see Legacy doing Legacy things. But yeah, so congratulations to Jared Kohler for that first place win with Mono Blue Merfolk.
We did it.
Yeah, we'll do one more here, and we'll have to break this one in half because this is a very there's just a lot to cover. So we'll do the last one for today is the 8th appearance of Merfolk, which is Grand Prix Strasbourg in 2013.
Ooh.
And this is a legacy format. So we're both pulling up this list here, and this is we're starting to see Phantasmal Image getting played here.
Yeah, Phantasmal Image just got printed. We're starting to see that. Everything else is essentially the same. Standstill's back, Aether Vial, Spell Pierce Force, blah blah blah. Coral Helms.
Master of the Pearl Trident was printed at this time.
That's crazy.
That was a M13 card.
You're right.
So this is as
that's why it went down to 2 Coral Helms, because again, it's kind of, I think it's probably more of an inertial play. They've been playing it for so long, you just keep playing it.
Yeah. But when you have Master of the Pearl Trident and Lord of Atlantis and Marrow Reejery, like you're basically just Lord deck, and we have 2 Dismember, which is a great removal spell, Daze, Force of Will, Spell Pierce, and of course Standstill. I
love that Curse Totem is in this deck.
Yeah, Curse Totem is a fun
in
card.
The sideboard.
It's 2 mana for an artifact. Activated abilities of creatures cannot be activated, or players can't play activated abilities of creatures, whichever you prefer. But it's a fun card. There's Echoing Truth in the sideboard, Pithing Needle, Relic of Progenitus, a lot of just what you see in Merfolk. Surgical Extraction.
Yeah, what would you expect to see? Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is a really cool deck for Alexei Romanchuk, but very similar to kind of, this is 2013. We're really starting to see Merfolk really take shape, and as you're well aware of, Matt, Legacy and modern Merfolk share about 75% of the cards.
Yeah, I mean, this is no different. We can see that. I mean, all we're missing are the Standstills and the Forces. Well, I guess the Dazes.
Yeah, Daze kind of comes in and out, and Wasteland, obviously. Yeah. And we haven't quite gotten to where we have Cavern of Souls yet as a we haven't seen it in any of these
2013 lists. I don't think Cavern of Souls has been printed yet.
No, and we just haven't seen it in any of these lists.
I mean, I think Cavern of Souls is like right around the corner, because 2013 is when I graduated my first master's degree, and that was around the time that the Innistrad block was closing out, if I remember correctly. So, I think it's probably like the following month Cavern of Souls gets printed.
Yeah, and
I think I would almost guarantee that, because I think it was the summer set around that time.
Yeah, it's at least close, but we haven't seen it up to this point.
Yeah,
and Cavern of Souls obviously became a very a big part of Merfolk for a long time.
Yeah,
but yeah, is. And we honestly not really, but there's just lots of land destruction in both formats, really. I mean, we still have Wasteland.
It'll come back.
It always does. It comes in and out depending on how things are going. But just to talk about some of the other decks real quick, we have a few Death and Taxes lists. There's a Sneak and Show, Punishing Maverick. There's a Threshold deck. That's interesting.
Yeah, Canadian Threshold was really popular around that time with the Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah, Nimble Mongoose,
Delver
Secrets, Tarmogoyf,
yeah.
And you play green creatures, and then you play Brainstorms and Force of Wills and Jataxim Probe, and just cheap interaction, and get Nimble Mongoose and Tarmogoyf to be really big, and attack, turn them sideways.
Yep,
it's pretty simple. So really normal Legacy things here, nothing out of the ordinary. Death and Taxes did take this one down, but Death and Taxes is, it's one of the sure things in Legacy and life.
The only thing more sure than Death and Taxes in Legacy is Death and Taxes.
Yeah, the real Death and Taxes.
Yeah.
We got through about half of the pro level Merfolk appearances,
which I think is actually probably pretty good, because these are some of the more old. I mean, we're starting to see a lot more overlap now, but most of the decks we covered are the ones that are very kind of outdated, that you're not going to see those cards anymore.
Yeah, and so we're getting into like 2013, 2014. We're starting to get into modern Merfolk history. Modern being just recent history. So the lists are going to be very what you would expect, I'd say. And this is it's just kind of cool to go back and look at all these lists. I'd like to thank...
and my suggestion to Kody would be, and I'm kind of just throwing this out there now, he has no idea I'm going to say this, it would be the next iteration would be fun to look at the cards that were in Modern Merfolk and then why are they no longer there.
Yeah, that might be its own topic. That'd be a fun episode to do.
Yeah.
And we won't come right back and hit you with more of this history. We'll probably revisit this at a later date.
It's not everybody's favorite thing. I think it's fun, but
no,
I'm a history nerd.
Yeah, and we like to vary things a little bit, but this is definitely a fun topic for us. And so
I think we have an off the wall topic except for next week.
Oh yeah.
So something with fireworks. You know what I'm talking about now, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yes. So thank you to everybody for listening to the show. Make sure that you find us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook is at FishCastMTG. If you have a long form question, feel free to email us at fishcastmtg@gmail.com. I am on Twitter as not Kody Smith. Matt, where can we find you?
Matthew Caudill 8. Running around out there on that Twitter.
Yep, our cover art was made by Tessa and Hunter Pruitt, and our logo and stream art was done by Ishton on Twitter, with our animated intro for all of our YouTube videos by Jake Boss MTG. If you like what we're doing here, please rate and subscribe in the Apple or Google Play podcast app stores, as well as find us on Patreon, patreon.com/fishcastmtg. Thank you everybody for your time, and we will see you next week.
Have a good night, everyone.